Okay, gang, for 87, part A, p prime of 1, given p is f times g. Part B, q prime of 4, given q is f divided by g. So for part A, p is made up of a product, f times g. So in order to take the derivative of p, you have to use the product rule. Now, I had just done this one, but I screwed up the filming, so I have to do it again. So I'll just show you what I wrote as I do it. So you're going to have to use the product rule. So product rule is first times root of second plus second times root of first. Right, so here's the product rule for p. F times derivative g plus g times derivative f. Now the thing is you want p prime of 1, which means that everywhere there's an x, you have to let x be 1. So if you notice, everywhere there's an x, I let that be a 1. You have to be really clear on what's a point and what's a derivative. So f of 1 is actually a coordinate. It's saying when x is 1, what's y, where g prime of 1 is a slope. It's asking what's the slope of the tangent line here. Same thing over here. g1 is a point. It's asking when x is 1, what's the height of g, where f prime of 1 is asking for the slope on the f function when x is 1. So how you do this is for f of 1, you have to look at the graph when for the f function. When x is 1 on the f function, you're here. You're at a height of 6. So f of 1 is 6. Now here, g prime of 1, you have to find the slope at 1 on the g function. So you go to 1 on the g function, you have to find the slope of this linear line. So you can either find 2 points and calculate the slope, or you could just do the rise over run. So for instance, the rise here is 1, the rise is 1, the run is 2. Like I'm looking at this point and this point here. So this goes down 1 unit over 2 units to get to the next point, which means the slope is negative 1/2. Okay, so for the slope of 1, that line has a slope of negative 1/2. For g of 1, g1 prime, when g is 1, when the x value in g is 1, the slope there is a negative 1/2. All right, now let's do this one. The g function when x is 1. So the g function when x is 1 is right here. This point right here is a height of 4. Right, this is asking for a height, so the height's 4. Now f prime, the slope of the f function when x is 1. The slope of the f function when x is 1. So first you go to where x is 1 on the f function, and so you need the slope of this. So you can either find 2 points and calculate the slope, or you could do the rise over the run. So like for me, I'm looking at this point to this point. So this has a rise of 2, a run of 2. So it's 2 over 2, which is a slope of 1. Alright, so 6 times negative 2 is negative 3, 4 times 1 is 4. This is a 1. So the slope at 1 on the p function is a 1. Okay, the first part's done. This is the answer to part A. Now, the answer to part B. You q prime of 4. So first of all, the q function is a quotient. So you got to use the quotient rule, right? The bottom times the derivative of the top minus top times the derivative of bottom over the bottom squared, right? You first have to write out the quotient rule, right? This is a quotient rule because g is a quotient. So take the derivative of a fraction, you got to use a quotient rule. Okay, the next part is that you want then to evaluate q prime at 4. So in that quotient rule, you want to let all your x values be 4. And just like I said earlier, you got to take into account the distinction between a coordinate and a slope. This is saying if x is 4, what's the height of g? This is saying what's the slope at 4 on the f function. This is saying what's the height of 4 at the f function. This is saying what is the slope at 4 on the g function. And then this is saying square the height when x is 4 on the g function. All right, so let's go through this part now. G, so you're going to go to the g function at when x is 4, what's the height? So the g function, when x is 4, the height is 3. When x is 4, the height is 3. So you put that in there. Now, you need to find the slope when x is 4 on the f function. So first of all, go for when x is 4 on the f function. You're going to go here. You need the slope of this line. When x is 4, so you hit here. So this is the slope of this guy. Now I'm going to do what I did before, rise over run. So my brain sees this point to this point, this point to this point. So this is up 2, this is over 2. So this is -1 because this guy's slanting down. So this is a -1 on this guy. That's a slope of -1. Okay, when x is 4, what's the height of the f function? When x is 4, the height of the f function is 7. 7. Now, what is the slope of the g function when x is 4? Okay, x is 4, go up to the function. You're talking about it here. This flat. This line's flat when we touch it. So that means the slope is 0. And g of 4 we already found earlier. We said it was 3. Now I'm going to crunch all this out. So it's -3 times, -3 minus 0 over 3 squared is 9, which reduces to -1/3. Okay, gang, that is it on this one. I'll catch you. Bye-bye.